with a quick take. After losing the starting QB battle to Kyler Murray earlier in camp, QB J.J. McCarthy split second-team reps with Carson Wentz yesterday at practice. Now we have Kevin Clark here. He is joining us. So, Kevin, who should be the Vikings' backup QB?
Carson Wentz, and it looks like the Minnesota Vikings agree. When you lose a quarterback competition, a lot of times you slide down to 3, or a lot of times you slide down to unemployment or employment with another team. That's just the way these things go. The role of a backup quarterback is very, very, very different from the role of a potential starter or a third stringer. It's not development. It's about being able to come in and give a series, come in and give a game. J.J. McCarthy has not shown the ability to be consistent enough for that kind of job. Carson Wentz, for all his flaws, he knows how to run an operation. He knows how to run a huddle. He knows how to get to the line, take a snap, all this stuff. He can create the layups that Kevin O'Connell's offense calls for. So I'm all in on Carson Wentz, QB2. He knows how to do it.
All right, now taking a bigger picture look at the Vikings division, Doggy.
Yes.
Who is the team to beat in the NFC North?
Well, I think it's the Lions, and the only reason why I think that is because of the schedule. Lewis and I don't know if Kevin was with us. We went through that about a couple weeks ago, Lewis. Their schedules, I mean, it's so easy. They got a fourth-place schedule. And to me, they're playing, the Jets and the Dolphins and Tennessee and the Cardinals and the Giants. I mean, look at that schedule, Lewis, Kevin. I mean, look at their start. All right, maybe they lose the Bills. I mean, they very well could be. Time they get through that week 10. I mean, who are they going to lose to? Packers and Vikings are at home. They play at the Buffalo. They got at Miami, at the Jets. I mean, a bye week there too. Cardinals. I mean, that is a great schedule. So because of the fact, and then they got the Titans and Atlanta, and right in the middle of the second half. I don't like the end. Bears and Packers on the road is hard. Don't get me wrong. But I'm going to take Detroit. And simply, I think it's a very competitive division. You can go any way you want. I'll take it because of the fourth-place schedule.
So the Lions missed the playoffs last year, first time since 2022. They end the season against the Packers. I'm curious, what do you think the ceiling is for Jordan Love this year?
Look, I think the ceiling is MVP. I think if you think about how he ended his season in 2025 in that playoff game against the Chicago Bears, he was on fire in that football game. 300-plus yards passing, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, had multiple drop passes. There were multiple missed field goals, extra points in that football game, blown coverages on the defense. Look, QB wins is not a legitimate stat. And I know that's something that, Jordan has had some of his struggles late in seasons. And in playoff contests, that was not one of them. And I think with the way in which he came out of the gate this year in the preseason against Denver last week in particular, I know it's preseason, but he was playing against the Denver Ones, against their pass rushers, against their linebackers and secondary. He was on it. He was on fire. The wide receivers have to come through for him in terms of making sure that drop rate is not as prohibitive as it was last year. They have to stay on the field and be healthy. If the running game offensive line, Jordan's going to do his part. He's going to do his part. I think MVP is the ceiling for this young man. I've always loved the way in which he plays. He is totally in command and comfortable in that system. It's about what happens around him.
I'm glad you mentioned MVP as a potential ceiling for Jordan Love. But does that mean, in your mind, the Packers are the team to beat?
No, because I'll tell you, I think coming out of the gate, that first quarter of the season could be really detrimental to them, especially if Micah is not there. They have no one who has any kind of profile that even closely resembles Micah Parsons as far as being able to rush the passer. How are they able to mitigate that? How are they able to make up for the loss that he presents for not being on the football field? We'll see. I'm picking the Vikings, especially if you can get 2024 Kyler Murray, which is obviously something that Kevin O'Connell is banking on. If they can get that, and their offensive line can stay intact, they have got perimeter weaponry, backfield weaponry as good as any. Brian Flores is going to be someone who's going to be able to disrupt and really throw off opposing offenses with his varied look, his pressure packages, and with the people that he has at the first, second, and third levels. I think the Vikings are right there. This is a toss-up division for me. Any one of the 4 can win it.
There are 2 divisions in football, Lewis, where there are 3 quarterbacks whose ceiling is MVP. It's the NFC East and it's the NFC North. And then you add in Kyler Murray, whose ceiling is franchise quarterback. So you have, it's a murderer's row. It's a legitimate murderer's row. That's why it's the best division in football, is because you can make a credible argument for any team. I can go to Jordan Love right now and say, okay, he's the best third and long quarterback in the NFL. That means he throws better passes than just about anybody in the sport because the defense knows he's passing and they can't stop it. Jared Goff, same thing. He can drive the ball down the field at a clip that's basically unmatched by anybody but Love and a handful of other guys. I've heard people in that Lions organization say, if you just Chad Powers Jared Goff and you just say, hey, let's put a mustache on him, put this mustache on him, don't have the story that Sean McVay gave up on him, he'd be an MVP candidate every year. Back-to-back seasons of over 105 passer rating. That is very rare in NFL history. Only 8 interceptions last year, 34 touchdowns. Jared Goff is amazing. And then it's Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams might be one of the most talented guys in football. He's got one of the best offensive coaches in football. There's no reason he can't be an MVP candidate. This is a brutal division, Mad Dog.
Yeah, I still think the NFC, I know Arizona's terrible, but the NFC West has got 3 coaches who have been to 5 Super Bowls. McVay's won, Shanahan's been to 2, and McDonald now has won 1.
Yep.
The NFC North doesn't have any of them who have been to a Super Bowl. Now, I love Lewis. He knows it. But I am shocked the amount of love that Lewis, and now you, Kyler Murray. I mean, come on. This guy was dumped by Arizona. This guy was taken out of a playoff game against the Rams, which was on ABC, well, on ESPN, because he wasn't giving you great effort in the second half when the Rams beat him in a playoff game a few years ago on a Monday night. Arizona couldn't wait to get him the heck out of there. Nobody ran to get Murray. He got a small contract to go to Minnesota. I mean, he is by far, going into the season, the worst of the 4. So because of that, forget what he could do. I'm basing on what he's done. I can't put Minnesota as number 1.
Can I just remind you what you said? If the Vikings, they can win the division. They can be the team to beat. If you can get 2024, Kyler Murray. The if. Do you think that's a big if?
Oh, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. But you know what? Look, I know there's going to be people who say, well, why would you trust Kevin O'Connell considering some of the decisions that they've made organizationally with the people that they let out of there, namely Sam Darnold and then, and then drafting J.J. McCarthy. Look, I believe in Kevin O'Connell. I believe in Josh McCown. And I understand the concerns surrounding Kyler Murray. Believe me, we did games down there. I understand a lot of what people are concerned with Kyler Murray doesn't really have to do with his physical talent and his ability to play the position. It's his personal football character, how he jives in the locker room, what kind of leadership does he possess? Is he a force multiplier? Can he elevate people around him? I don't necessarily feel as though he has to necessarily do all that in Minnesota, considering all that does surround him in Minnesota. He just needs to do his part. He just needs to be a distributor, pull out some of that Kyler Murray magic on occasion where he can do things with his legs that not many quarterbacks can do. So that's why I'm still picking them, and I believe in Brian Flores, and I believe that defensively they will play division-winning football.
Well, I thought Kevin said a really smart thing. If you change Jared Goff's jersey, if you don't know it's Jared Goff, you cover the name, a lot of people look at the stats and the body of work and say, that is a guy who can be MVP.
Yeah.
Why are you not as high on the Lions, particularly given Mad Dog has mentioned their schedule?
Yeah, I am high on the Lions. It's not a matter of I'm high on Minnesota and I think everyone else stinks. I think, like I said, this is a toss-up division. It's a pick-em division for me. I think, look, we talked about this earlier this morning. The Lions have their own questions, in particular on defense. Number 1, who's the complementary edge rush piece to Aiden Hutchinson? And number 2, when you're talking about Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch at safety, at the command and control center, both of their availability is in question. Yep. Like, when are they going to be on the football field? Are they going to be on the football field? In what capacity? That's huge for them. We saw what happened to them when they got decimated in the secondary before. Same thing with Chicago, dealing with injuries right now. Micah in Green Bay. It's a pick-em division.
The case for Kyler Murray is, even though he's the only guy in this division who can't be an MVP candidate, he's the only guy that can win the division without being an MVP candidate. What does that mean? Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, a run game, Kevin O'Connell's playbook on the defensive side of the ball. Most pressures in football last year because of the way Brian Flores was able to blitz it up. He doesn't need to be a superstar. He needs to be steady, extend drives with his legs, and get the ball into Justin Jefferson's hands.
Which, like what we're saying, is the other 3 quarterbacks do, though. Jordan has to play MVP level.
Kevin, you're not giving the edge to the Vikings, though, in that
No, I'm a fraud. I'm picking the Lions.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to be clear there. And you still?
Yeah, I'm going to take Detroit, too, but I do love the division. Green Bay's at Minnesota that first game. We learned something right out of the gate. You're right about Micah Parsons. I guess, after 4 weeks? We'll see him. He says maybe the Dallas game. Minnesota, the problem I have with them, I can't trust the quarterback.
Yeah.
And the NFL is about having a big quarterback, and I can't trust him until he shows me over a period of time that And I know he's dangerous. He's a great runner, and I know he's had flashes. But I haven't seen that there, Lewis, over his 16, 17 games.
No, I got you.
Well, Kyler Murray is going to look to prove you wrong, Mad Dog.
I don't think he cares, but okay.
Well, now we're going to leave this here. Now we're going to look at a developing story here on First Take. 49ers owner Jed York used a pseudonym and responded multiple times to a fake ad for a prostitute before his arrest in Ohio over the weekend. In the report, York identified himself as a man named Joe in response to the ad, which was posted by an undercover officer posing as a woman on a, quote, known prostitution website. Officers arrested York after he arrived at the agreed-upon location. Yesterday, 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan addressed the situation to the media.
My view is, as the coach, does it have an effect on us as a team? And that's what I continue to answer on. From a football standpoint, it has no effect on us. I mean, as far as what we do day to day, what we talk about, and hasn't been mentioned in a meeting today, it doesn't have to do with what happens on the field. Everything outside of there, I think you guys can judge that better than me.
Now, York has been the majority owner of the 49ers since 2024, but has been the team's chief executive officer since 2008. We'll continue to follow this story on First Take. Up next.